Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this current video there's lots to currently negotiate about. I am going to be giving you a bit more additional information regarding Mauricio Pochettino. The topic about Mauricio Pochettino is what I'm going to start with, and then a bit later on in the video I am going to delve into some transfer news. So I'm going to be keeping you up to date of what's going on with Jack Grealish and James Maddison, and also going to keep you up to date of what's going on with Jadon Sancho, because of course, they are Manchester United summer transfer targets and that. But like I mentioned, we will start with Mauricio Pochettino. So reportedly, Mauricio Pochettino could come out recently. It's also in Sky Sports saying, that he'd love a return to the Premier League, because Mauricio Pochettino did give his overarching view on, his sacking from Tottenham last year, and he did actually, say that he wanted an immediate return to management. Now, reportedly, Mauricio Pochettino has said, his Tottenham legacy is more important than winning trophies. Also, more speculation is being fuelled because I think Mauricio Pochettino was spotted at Griffin Park yesterday night alongside Ed Woodward's new advisor, Neil Ashton, and that. So that has definitely fuelled more speculation up. But Mauricio Pochettino has revealed that he's interested in taking the managerial role at Manchester United. And I did say, didn't I, in one of my recent videos, it's looking very likely he will be our manager next season, will Pochettino. I don't think, we won't get him in, before the end of the season, because obviously, if we was to recommend Pochettino in before the end of the season, then Tottenham would be entitled to £10 million in compensation and that. But he is, he is our, primary candidate and that. But, we've been long admirers of Mauricio Pochettino anyway. Don't forget, we was in for him after the sacking of Jose Mourinho in December 2018. But obviously, we decided to go with Solskjaer instead. But the main explanations why, our preference was Solskjaer, because Solskjaer was a cheaper solution. And plus, we give Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis, reflecting on, what he did when he was the interim manager and that. But we did make a mistake by not recommending Pochettino in after the sacking of Jose Mourinho. Obviously, Pochettino's been linked to quite a few other managerial roles, not just Manchester United. Don't forget Atletico Madrid were in for him not too long ago. Also to Bayern Munich were in for him early on this season. Also to, Barcelona were in for him at one point. Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. But I think he does want to come to Manchester United and that. And obviously, if we do recommend Pochettino in, he will be our 5th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. Because obviously, Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager at the moment. And, he's been at the club around, 14 months almost. He's been permanent manager for almost 11 months. And obviously, we've sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. Of course, we sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Was it 9 or 10 months? He enjoyed the shortest tenure with the club. Obviously, Ferguson was at the fault for ever recommending David Moyes in. But the main explanation why he did is because obviously, they are both Scottish. Obviously, we got rid of Van Gaal after like a year or so, despite the fact he won the FA Cup. And we got rid of Jose Mourinho after he enjoyed a 2.5-year tenure with the club. He won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season with Manchester United and that. But I'd love Pochettino to be Manchester United's next manager. I'm not saying that, we'd be winning the league or we'd mount any kind of title challenge up under Mauricio Pochettino, like I've mentioned before. But I just think we'll look a much better outfit under Mauricio Pochettino's guidance, because I do believe from my own perception his philosophy would be right for the club. He's good at developing young players and he is well proven in the Premier League. My only element of concern I've got about Mauricio Pochettino is that he hasn't won out in terms of silverware. That's my only element of concern. But I thought Pochettino enjoyed a good 5.5-year tenure with Tottenham. Obviously, didn't win out like I mentioned, but, he progressed Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final last season. Got them to quite a few 4th place finishes. I think one year got them runners up. And he's, overall a very, very good manager is Pochettino. Obviously, he's managed a total of 3 clubs so far in his managerial career. So if he comes to Man United, it will be the 4th club he's managing in his managerial career. Obviously, before he was at Tottenham, he enjoyed a short tenure with Southampton. I also thought he did really, really well with Southampton, because I think he guided Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League. And before he was at Southampton, he was at Espanyol. He began his managerial career at Espanyol. But Pochettino has been managing now for just over a decade, basically. He's been managing for just over a decade. And obviously, earlier on this season, Pochettino did demand quite a few things if he was to come into the football club. He did say, did Pochettino, that he wanted to take control of the transfers. Obviously, he said he didn't want Ed Woodward at Manchester United and that. But if we do get Pochettino in, obviously, I do believe that Man United will be determined to back him. They'll give him the right amount of, money to spend on players and that. Because obviously, Pochettino coming in, and on that squad's obviously, going to be his. He'll be inheriting players that Solskjaer's brought in, He'll be inheriting a lot of players that Mourinho brought in, because the vast majority of these players are Jose Mourinho's. There's still a couple of players even from the Van Gaal era, might be from the David Moyes era, and I think there's still one or two players here from the Alex Ferguson era, so take that into account. But, Tottenham were mainly competing in and out of the top four when Pochettino was there. But, like, in the last couple of years, that Tottenham actually, became title contenders. So that's how good, Mauricio Pochettino did. So, yeah. But we don't only need a change of management, like I've mentioned, on a number of occasions, we need to see a variety of changes at the football club. The management isn't only the issue. Obviously, I don't like the way the football club's been run in the last 6 or 7 years. Obviously, a lot of United fans have been protesting Ed Woodward and the Glazers and that. And I think, Ed Woodward, as shouldn't be here. He's obviously, been our executive since 2012. Obviously, what he's done since he's come in, just invested a lot of money into the club. Obviously, he's sacked 3 managers. And I think Ed Woodward, basically should have recommended a director of footballing. So that means in that aspect then, he could have moved away from the footballing decisions like I mentioned on one of my videos yesterday. We've got to get the Glazers out. Obviously, there's also, I think, problems with the coaching staff. I think there's also still problems on the pitch, because there's a lot of aspects of our game that do currently need to improve in that. But the management is not only the current issue. Take that into account as well. So, yeah, that's your latest news regarding Mauricio Pochettino. But like I updated you regarding Solskjaer the other day, we'd given our verdict on the sacking of Solskjaer, and it said, we'd only sack Solskjaer if we was to finish out the top 6 this season. And, of course, if we don't qualify for Europe, that's the only way we're going to sack Solskjaer. So if we were to finish within the top 6 this season, and we was to, qualify for Europe, then I think maybe we would be determined to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer another season at Manchester United, because this is his first full season at the club at the moment. And obviously, if we decided to sack him within this two and a half years he's got left on his contract, obviously we'd have to pay something to get rid of him. We'd have to pay around £5 million in compensation to get rid of Solskjaer and that. I think the only reason, we're sticking by him at this moment in time, and, because he's a club legend, basically, I think disregarding him being a club legend, he would have been sacked by Manchester United by now, because as what I know, he's the worst manager, we've had. Because obviously, since he got the job permanently, he's lost more games in the Premier League than he's won. And, we have enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. So we've never been as bad as this up until this point in the Premier League era. So this is the main explanation why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been under intense pressure at Manchester United and that. Like I mentioned, whether his managerial tenure at Man United works out or not, we'll never forget, what he's done for the football club, because he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years and that he flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. So he's got that proven pedigree as a player. But my perceptions on him as a manager is totally comparison, because I think as a manager he is too inexperienced, this Solskjaer. I know he knows Manchester United well, but he just isn't good enough as a manager. Obviously, this Man United is the third club he's managing, because he managed Mould and Cardiff before he came to Man United. Well, also take into account as well, he managed the Manchester United reserve team for a couple of years and that, and he did actually know what from this team in this day and age, grow and develop and that. But he isn't the right man, for Manchester United, and I don't think he will be here, much longer, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, if we don't beat Chelsea, on Monday, that could probably, sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because if we don't beat Chelsea, it will look very, very unlikely that we're going to finish in the top 4 anywhere this season. That game against Chelsea probably will decide who finishes in the top 4 this season. Obviously, at the moment, we are 6 points behind top 4. Obviously, there's quite a few teams in that top 4 race. We're lucky to be in that top 4 race. the only main explanation why we're in that top 4 race is because Chelsea have been so inconsistent this season, and we've had so many opportunities, to close the gap on that top 4. And realistically now, we should be in that top 4, to be quite honest with you. But obviously, we're not. But like I mentioned, that top 4 is one of our ambitions this season. It's very imperative that we get some silverware on the board. We can obviously, win the Europa League. It's another route to Champions League football. We can also win the FA Cup. So this is also, very, very imperative, definitely in that. Very, very imperative. So if we beat Chelsea, top 4 is definitely nowhere still on. To be fair, we've had a good record against Chelsea since Solskjaer got recommended in, because I don't think Solskjaer has lost to Chelsea as Manchester United manager and that. I think we've beaten them like 3 times since Solskjaer came in. We've beaten them twice already this season. 2-1 in the Carabao Cup at Stamford Bridge, 4-0 at Old Trafford on the opening day of the season. So we are looking to beat Chelsea for the 3rd time this season, and this will be Solskjaer and Frank Lampard's 3rd meeting as managers, of course. So take that into account. So yeah, as you all know, the preview for that Chelsea game will be coming up on Friday or Saturday. And also, I'll be giving you my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference building, up to the game and that. So we'll delve into more of that, as the game, gets closer. So now we will delve into some of the transfer news. Obviously, I've been keeping up to date, what, players Manchester United could get in the summer. And we have got quite a few players on our agenda who we could go in for in the summer. Now, obviously, Man United need to make more investment in the summer because, there's still deficiencies in the squad that do need to be addressed, definitely in that. Obviously, Ed Woodward wrote a fans former. He wrote a fans former. So obviously, Ed Woodward came out and he's basically, defending the club's recruitment policy. And he's basically, said he will be backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with more transfers this summer. So this is what, Ed Woodward has basically, said. Now, obviously, Manchester United have got a hell of a lot of money. I can't estimate exactly how much Man United have got, but I do presume we'll be spending a substantial amount in the summer. Obviously, we've generated money anywhere because obviously, a lot of players left last summer. So for some of the players that did leave, we generated some money. Obviously, we generated quite a bit of money for Lukaku's departure, because we got £70 million for him. Obviously, got some money, for Ashley Young leaving. We got a bit of money, for some of the players that obviously, went out on loan. So that's obviously, very, very good. And obviously, with Lukaku and Sanchez being out on loan as well, that's freed up our wage bill. So also take that into account. And, more players are expected to leave in the summer because he's still deadwood at Manchester United. So we'll generate more money in that way as well. We'll generate a substantial amount, for Paul Pogba's departure. I think we could get around 150 or 160 million pounds for him. So, I'm going to be now delving into the news regarding James Maddison and Jack Grealish. Now, reportedly, Manchester United are planning a £160 million transfer swoop for James Maddison and Jack Grealish and that. Now, obviously, I gave you the news regarding Jack Grealish the other day, and it did say, Man United agreed personal terms with the player ahead of a summer transfer. And he said reportedly, the player's preference was a move to Manchester United. Now, reportedly, he did say he was searching for a house in Manchester and that. Quite a few other clubs have been in for Grealish though, Real Madrid, Barcelona and Manchester City. But he said he's revealed if he leaves Villa this summer, he wants to come to Manchester United, does Jack Grealish. And I like, Jack Grealish a lot, like I mentioned, well Premier League proven. Up until this point, has spent, the entirety of his career with Aston Villa. Obviously, entirety of his career with Aston Villa. Of course, he's still got a contract with them until 2023, so he's still got around 3 years left on his contract. And, he's on around £100,000 a week at the moment with Aston Villa. I think he would cost us around maybe £45 million or something like that, because that's actually his release clause in his Aston Villa contract. Now, Jack Grealish can play as an attacking mid, and he can also play as a winner. I think he's actually, predominantly an attacking mid. Now, I would be excited about the prospect of him coming in because, I think he'd look he'd blend in very, very well alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. Them two as a partnership would be fantastic, and we can afford to let Paul Pogba go. Of course, if we can get Jack Grealish in anywhere in the summer. He is only at the age of 24, and obviously, he fits our transfer strategy perfectly because Solskjaer did reveal that he wants to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United. So I'd love Jack Grealish to come in. So it's very, very likely, if reports are to be believed, that Jack Grealish will be our first signing in the summer. And he will be our 6th signing overall under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. And that's if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still, Manchester United manager in the summer transfer window. Obviously, Solskjaer has so far recommended 5 players in. And he's obviously, spent over £200 million on them. Obviously, he bought James, Bissaka and Harry Maguire in last summer. And he bought Bruno Fernandes and Odi Nagalo in the January transfer window and that. But, I'd love Jack Grealish at Manchester United, like I mentioned. So, will he be Solskjaer's player or will he be Pochettino's player? And that is the question. But, I'd love him at Manchester United. And, James Maddison, I've been keeping up to date of what's been going on with James Maddison on a regular basis. I like James Maddison a lot. I did say, didn't I, was very sceptical that we'll get him in the summer because obviously it did say that, James Maddison was closing in on signing a new contract with Leicester. Obviously, I think he's still got around, 3 years or just under 3 years left on his current deal. Obviously, in this new contract, he'll get, a pay rise. I don't think it includes a release clause. But the main explanation why he's going to get this new contract is reflecting on how good he's been since his arrival at Leicester from Norwich back in, the summer of 2018. Leicester paid around £20 million to him from Norwich. He tends to play on the, left quite a lot under Brendan Rodgers, but he can also play as an attacking midfielder. He is only at the age of 23. Arsenal, like I mentioned yesterday, have inquired about getting him in. But reportedly, if we had to get James Maddison and Jack Grealish in this summer, revert back to what I said, they'll cost us in the excess of £160 million. That's how much it'll probably, cost us. Because James Maddison is probably going to cost us a good, 80, 90 million pounds at least. Grealish around 45, maybe even more than 45 million for Jack Grealish. Maybe we'd have to pay around, 60 million pounds for him or something like that. But, yeah. Yeah, and so that's the latest news, regarding them two. And also I want to give you the latest news regarding Jadon Sancho. Manchester United are still confident they can beat Chelsea to the signing of Jadon Sancho in the summer. It actually has been revealed how much Jadon Sancho will cost us. We'll probably have to pay in the excess of around £120 million for him. So he's going to cost us over £100 million to get Jadon Sancho in. So obviously we're going to have to make him our most expensive signing, because at the moment Paul Pogba's our most expensive signing, who we paid £89 million for, don't forget. But Jadon Sancho, I like him a lot. People will say we may not get him in the summer, if of course if we fail, to qualify for the Champions League this season, because obviously, players, at that calibre, want to be in Champions League football. If we don't get Champions League, then we may not get him in. This is the main explanation why we didn't get Jadon Sancho back in January 2019, because we was in for him then, because obviously we didn't get him because, we'd failed to qualify for the Champions League and that. But, a few teams have been in for him. Obviously, he's enjoyed a difficult season with Borussia Dortmund. He's been dropped in quite a lot of games. Obviously, analyse his performances, though, in the couple of years he's been there, his valuation has persistently grown, because Dortmund only paid around £6 or £7 million for him from Man City, because he did serve a couple of years with Man City, so he's proven in the Premier League. But the main explanation why he left Man City, because he never got his opportunities, first team opportunities at Man City, and now obviously he's under contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. Jadon Sancho has made 65 Bundesliga appearances, for Borussia Dortmund, scored 25 goals in all competitions. I think he's made around 84 or 85 appearances as the player in that. Can predominantly play as he's predominantly a right winger. but he can also play Jadon Sancho centrally. But reportedly, it cost us £120 million alone. That's without obviously getting James Maddison and Jack Grealish in with Jadon Sancho. So that is a lot of money, especially for a 19-year-old. But I think, he would fit our system perfectly, Jadon Sancho, if he did, currently come in. So, yeah, like I mentioned, there is still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed. Like I mentioned, we need a striker. Solskjaer's planning on bringing 2 strikers in the summer. We also possibly need a right winger. We probably need a left-back as well. Luke Shaw struggling for that consistency, and he's injury-prone, sustaining a lot of injuries in his career with Man United, and I know we've got Brandon Williams now, that's our first choice, but, Brandon Williams is still inexperienced in that. Brandon Williams is only in his first season in the senior squad with Manchester United, and that, so possibly need a left-back. I've heard some people saying we need a centre-back, because we are still conceding goals, despite Harry Maguire's arrival from Leicester last summer. I think Man United did make the right decision by giving Harry Maguire the captaincy on a permanent basis, and that, maybe some people believe that, Fred should get the captaincy. But, I think Harry Maguire's done well. He's had a few bad games, but I think overall he's done well. I agree on the aspects that we overpaid for him, because we paid £80 million for Harry Maguire, from Leicester last summer. So he is the second most expensive signing at the club. He is the most expensive defender in the world. But maybe, we do need someone alongside him. And obviously, we've been in for Koulibaly from Napoli. That's debatable, though. Whether we get him or not, I do not know. Obviously, we're going to have to pay £127 million if we've got any chances of getting Koulibaly. But I think Lindelof's done well alongside Maguire in our back line. But we are still conceding goals. Revert back to what I said. And I think, we also need a holding midfielder in that. So, yeah, that's the latest on the transfers. That's the latest on the transfers and that. That is the latest on the transfers. But like I mentioned, I think we need around 3 to 4 more signings in the summer if we are to be back to where we want to be. Because obviously at the moment you've got City that are strides ahead of us, Liverpool are strides ahead of us, and it's going to take us, time, to emulate to City's and Liverpool's level, to take that into account. Obviously, our squad as it stands at the moment isn't good enough to win the league or mount any kind of title challenge up, but I'd say it's good enough for the top 4 finish. I did say at the start of this season that I expected us to enjoy a better season this season than what we saw last season, because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th last season, and that I think the lowest we've ever finished in the Premier League era was under David Moyes, when we did, of course, finish 7th. So, like I mentioned, more players need to leave Man United in the summer. Solskjaer, I think, has confirmed anywhere that more players will leave Manchester United in the summer. I think Jones needs to be moved on. Possibly Bailly, not because he's a bad player, because obviously, he's very injury prone. Bailly's just come back from injury. So yeah, maybe him. Matic needs to be moved on. Lingard needs to be moved on. Andres Pereira, Chong, Luke Shaw, all them names I've just mentioned to you, I think are all liabilities at Manchester United, and they do currently need to be moved on in the summer, and that, they definitely do need to be currently moved on. But on the other hand, there is players I would be determined to keep at Man United. Definitely there's players I would be determined to keep. Keep Rashford, because obviously, Rashford's been one of our best players this season. Of course, Rashford's out at least for a couple of months with a back injury, obviously. So, obviously, we've got Odion Ighalo in on loan as the cover-up for him. He's obviously a good alternative to Anthony Martial. Keep Rashford definitely, though. Keep McTominay, because before he got injured, he did really, really well in our midfield. And, he's recovering well from his injury now. Don't forget, he is in Marbella in Spain. He's part of the one with a training camp, so that means he could be back for Chelsea. So I'd keep McTominay, I'd keep Fred, because I think he's rejuvenated himself. I'd keep the 3 signings that were recommended in last summer. I'd keep Juan Mata, because I think he's a very good backup to Bruno Fernandes and that. So there is still players I would be determined to keep at Man United. Obviously, I'd keep Greenwood, because Greenwood's been a revelation this season. It's his first season in the senior squad. And I've got to be honest, at the moment, I think Mason Greenwood is a much better solution than Anthony Martial. I'd actually, play him over than Anthony Martial on that left or right-hand side, Mason Greenwood. But, he needs to play more in the Premier League. I feel as though he's not getting enough starts in the Premier League, and that's my element of concern. But Greenwood is on 10 senior goals this season in 20-odd first-team appearances, which is very, very impressive. And he's only at the age of 18, is Mason Greenwood. But I think, as he develops more, he will get to Marcus Rashford's level. I can definitely assure that. Definitely Keith Williams, Keith Tuanzebe. Tuanzebe is also now close to returning. He's in Marbella as well, don't forget. So these two players I will be determined to keep at Manchester United, definitely in that. Obviously, Odion Ighalo is going to be making his debut against Chelsea, like Solskjaer has confirmed. Despite the fact that he isn't in Marbella, he has been kept in the UK. The main explanation for this is with the fears of the coronavirus. As you all know, that's been going around. So we've kept him in the UK, Odion Ighalo. It'd be interesting to see how he does on his debut. Obviously, we've got him in on loan until the end of the season. He's highly experienced. He's a lifelong Manchester United supporter. So let's see how he does. I'd put him in that number 9. We need to drop Martial completely or put Martial back on the left, because that's Martial's predominant position anywhere. I think the criticism has been a bit over the top about Martial, though, because he has received a lot of criticism recently, reflecting on his poor run of performances. But I'd put Odion Ighalo in that number 9, because Odion Ighalo wants that number 9 anywhere. And, Bruno Fernandes, he's in Marbella. He'll be making his second Premier League appearance for the club against Chelsea. We need to keep in his predominant position, and his predominant position is that attacking midfield role, Bruno Fernandes. I've got an element of concern about the usage of the player. Is Solskjaer going to keep him in his predominant position? Because as you realised against Wolves before the winter break, halfway through the first half, he reverted, Bruno Fernandes to a defensive midfield role. Well, rotated into a defensive midfield role, and his predominant position is an attacking midfield role and that. But Bruno Fernandes did really, really well on his debut against Wolves, so take that into account and that. Take that into account. And yeah, give you the news regarding Sanchez, didn't I? We're now considering selling, we are selling Sanchez in the summer, despite the fact that Solskjaer did say last month that, Sanchez would have been coming back to Man United in the summer, and he said, he would have proven everyone wrong. I don't want Sanchez to come back anywhere, because if we did bring him back, that would be the wrong decision by the football club to bring Alexis Sanchez back, because he was so inconsistent in the 18 months he was with us. He's now on loan at Inter Milan. Despite the fact that he's on loan at Inter Milan, though, we're still paying him around, £300,000 a week, so we're still paying the vast majority of his wages. And Inter Milan, I think, are paying him around £100,000 a week. So take that into account and that. So I don't think he'll be coming back. No, obviously we're going to try and find a buyer for Alexis Sanchez, definitely. We're going to try and find a current buyer. Dean Henderson, he's currently on loan at Sheffield United at the moment. Is Dean Henderson. I'm hopeful that he can return to Man United after his loan spell with Sheffield United. When he comes back, I think he will become our number 1, and David De Gea will be dropped. Obviously, David De Gea does remain our number 1 at the moment, but David De Gea has been very, very, poor, at least in the last year or so. He's been poor as David De Gea, but I think prior to the last year or so, he's had a really, really good career with Manchester United as David De Gea. He's endured 8 years here. He's now into his 9th season at the football club. But he's becoming a liability, David De Gea now. So, Dean Henderson now has got that experience. We've been on loan at Sheffield United. So, we need to try and put him as our number 1 goalkeeper, like I mentioned yesterday. So, that's everything to update you with today, guys. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And take care. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. And let me know what you think to the rumours about Pochettino and all the transfers. Take care. God bless.